Not on camera. Okay. I'm just going to take a second here to set up my interface. I wasn't able to do it while I had the title card on the screen. Still have to find out what the theme is here. So go to the Global Game Jam website, see what's going on. Or you said the YouTube? Global Game 2014 keynote. 2015 hello videos uploaded 5 days ago. Nothing yet. I might have to refer to Twitter.
good.
Good night.
You know, I was thinking about it.
Dad, I'm streaming.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. So, welcome. Set up this interface. Still need to find the theme. There we go. Let's look on Twitter, maybe send out a tweet. Doing stream and stuff on the fly here. It's okay, we got 48 hours. This is just a test run. So my main focus is coding. It would be really great if we could find one or more people to contribute some art assets. But that won't be until tomorrow. Tonight's gonna strictly be brainstorming, I would imagine. So spend a little more time here setting up. That was interesting. Add my screen. I might not be streaming it yet. Probably not. Change a few settings. Um, can't really. Maybe I can check. I'm gonna check if people can hear me. I think I can check that. Balancing a few things at once here, setting up. Displays. How's that? No? There it is. Great. We have a little one here. Put that here. All right. I think we can find the theme. I'm trying to look on Twitter right now. Yeah, maybe it is still a secret. The theme has been revealed. Keep it to yourself. Why would you say that? Yeah, they're saying they still can't talk about it. Oh, cool. I'm glad you can hear me. That's the theme. Oh, found it on Reddit. Thanks. What do we do now? What? What you sending me, boy? Making some progress here. So guess the word is the theme's not public yet. That's an extremely vague theme, guys. I'm not sure what to make of that. What do we do now? What do we do now? Really, that's the theme? I figure the theme is about to change. Oh, I see what you're saying. You can establish a disaster or hint at one and make it about rebuilding. Yeah, if you want to be uplifting. Yeah, it's like I don't know. You start headed down a road, you got all these plans, you hit some like massive bump, everything changes, and like you don't really see a horizon anymore or something like that. But how do you translate that into a game? We're gonna adapt The Road by Cormac McCarthy. No. You know, there's some like really simple live streaming software available, and I planned on using one that you subscribe to, like $15 for 3 months or something. But it's Windows only, and I had a Windows partition on my Mac. I drove the background. I'm not familiar with the book, The Road. Um, Man, this is going slow. I had a Windows partition on my Mac, but I was having trouble when I first started streaming because I couldn't make an external RAID array using software as far as I could tell on a Windows computer, and I've only done it on a Mac. So I decided to go back over to my Mac partition because I had two external drives and I needed to set that up in order to have a drive that I could write to quickly enough for streaming purposes. And so I switched to that, and there aren't really any good broadcasting solutions for the Mac that aren't like $1,000. Um, so I ended up um, using open broadcasting software, OBS, and it works fine, but it's very manual, and I haven't figured out how to do certain things realistically. Yeah, you can, but you need a certain type of hard drive, I think. I forget the problem I ran into because I remember reading that you could do it, but if you had a hard drive that had I don't know, a certain thing about it, then you couldn't use that kind of hard drive. I don't know. I ended up giving up on it because I was familiar with how to do it on the Mac. So that's what I'm doing, using Mac. So in this last window, I guess I could put like a preview of the game in the last window. And there isn't one yet, so it's blank. That makes sense. And then I have this other blank spot in the top right. And there, I don't know what I'm going to put there. I have no idea. So that's that. Switch to camera mode. This is a Google Hangout session, so eventually, hopefully, if anyone wants to join in a more substantial way, they can join onto the Hangout session or onto. Are those two videos totally desynced right now? So I moved the theme for this global game jam into the title of the broadcast, which apparently is "What Do We Do Now?" Uh, and I'm just kind of setting up my stream setup right now, and then okay, tell you what, I'm gonna do this. I'm just setting up my stream setup now, and then I guess we're gonna start brainstorming, or at least I'm gonna start brainstorming, and hopefully try and engage you guys. So I'm just removing some old scenes I had in my broadcasting software. Won't be doing that anymore. And I guess I'm just gonna stick with this. And if I want to feature another video, I can just move it up. So in the last screen, I'll probably put like a Chrome browser window because any coding I do is going to be HTML5 coding. And so it'll be previewed in a Chrome browser anyway. So maybe we could have persistent notes that we keep in a Google Drive document. And so if people come and go throughout the day, throughout the weekend, they can like catch up on what's been going on. Maybe I'll do that right now. And then I can also have like the current version of the game kind of previewed in this bottom right window. So right now I'm creating a Google Doc, just like a word page. I'm gonna add the title or the theme of the Globe Game Jam to it, and I'm gonna add it to my window here. So we're calling this stream Twitch Jams, and we're going to make it an annual thing. 2015. And the theme is what are we going to do now? What do we do now? What do we do now? What do we do? I'll add this to the stream. There we go. I can do something like that. No, I don't think that'll work. How's that look? Like anything? It'd be nice to put like a logo in the top right, but I haven't put time into making one yet. It's a bit of effort. So yeah, I do most of my coding with HTML5. That means that anything I do is going to be previewed in the browser and played in the browser. It means, here, I'll type this out as I talk. Just if this isn't a good font size, I'd appreciate it if you let me know. Mm-hmm. Oh, here it is. More. There we go. So, again, name's Jesse Pucko. Let's go with Ted. Is that a good size font? I can check it, I guess. See how the stream looks. Looks like shit. No, it's not bad. What do we do now? Yeah, and it's not a terrible size on full screen. All right, so I'm a coder, HTML5 and Node.js. So what's that mean? I can make 2D games. I can make single player. I can make multiplayer. Web games. Um, I can do graphics. I can do some sound design, but I would rather not. Uh, but if I end up having to work on this project 100% myself and I just have a few people checking in occasionally, that'll be perfectly fine. And I will follow through because I want to add some more stuff to my portfolio. With that said, I do have a portfolio, Jesse Rafalco. You can find me all over Google. Um, I was in a master's program at Penn State for new media. It was a studio art program. I was there for uh, about a year and a half, and I got sort of, I became very dissatisfied with my experience, primarily, maybe partially my mistake. The program, even though my concentration was new media, the program had painters, people who did pottery, people who sculpted, um, people who drew and did animation. And so um, I was the only dedicated programmer, and the instructors and advisors they had weren't really able to satisfy my needs, I guess. So I left, and I've been kind of working on my own since. But while I was there, I made a couple games. The first one is called System Dynamics. I could pull that up here real quick. Um, the game was, whoops, wrong keyboard. The game was displayed in an art exhibit, a couple of them actually. It started out as just a command line interface that didn't do anything on exhibit, and people were confused and also kind of frustrated. And over the course of a week, it became a fully functional text-based game. Um, and then in future exhibitions, continued to grow into a game with a graphical user interface, and then one with sort of detailed graphics. But I kind of eventually let that uh, project go, and I moved on to a new project that I called Ship Mario, and I can show you that too. Uh, Maybe this doesn't want to load, or maybe I typed it in wrong. This was an earlier version. This was um, maybe after a couple weeks. Basically, in the game, it's you versus a computer, and there's a source in the middle. This Oh, I haven't pushed start. So if you push start, you see some text pop up, and you and your opponent both have these modules that they can add to their system, right? And then there's the source in the middle, which is like its own independent system, and they all have energy. You, your opponent, the computer, and the source. And over time, the energy depletes, and you can also manipulate the energy in various ways by adding modules to your system. The first module was a siphon module, and you can also choose your target that you're going to use these modules on. So I can siphon from the source, and I'll start pulling energy from the source system into my own system to try and keep myself going. Right now you can see the computer is like has twice as much energy as me, so he's at risk of knocking me out. So I can also siphon from him, and that'll draw energy directly from him. And you can look at some things he's doing with his modules. He has he's fortifying himself, and so what that means is I can take a rupture module here and target him, and that'll make this loss per ticks number go up. And as that number goes up, your energy starts just sort of depleting. It doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of, you start losing it, like the walls of your energy tank start rupturing. And so you can see I'm rupturing pretty bad too here. So what I can do is I can change one of these modules into a fortify and actually start healing myself. Or yeah, not, healing my my ruptured, my energy loss. Um, and this here shows how many pipes are running from me to the computer and from the computer to me. And so he's draining 25 energy units off of me every second. I'm only draining one off of him, but I'm draining more from the source. The thing about the source is the source's energy runs out before anything else, usually because it has no energy going back into it. So basically, if you spend all your time siphoning from the source with multiple siphon modules, you're gonna have all that time spent adding pipes to the source system, which is then fully depletes, and all of those pipes are rendered useless. So if your opponent spent a lot of time adding pipes to you to siphon off of you, to siphon energy units off of you, then once the source system pops, all your pipes to the source go bad, and then your opponent starts winning at a very high pace because he has so many pipes connected to you, and then he can kind of maintain that advantage by transferring pipes that you set up from him to you back to you to him, or also just choosing to rupture you more. And by choosing to rupture you, you're faced with having to remove siphoning modules or transferring modules to add on uh, fortify modules. And if it's generally easier to be on the offense in this sort of rupturing strategy than on the defense, because when you're on the offense, you have the upper hand because you can kind of control when that's happening, and your opponent has to be responsive, which is harder to do. So anyway, I'm like rambling here because I don't quite know how to start with this stream. We got to start brainstorming. So my reskin was a later version. In this version, yeah, there's some graphics. Basically the same game though. It's a lot smarter and a lot harder. It's like stupid hard. This version I actually installed at a like exhibition space in an arcade cabinet in Philadelphia. It was pretty cool, I guess. So with that said, I'm just gonna take a quick break to grab a drink, and we will move on to Super Ship Mario. I'll show you what that's about. Oh, I should be hiding this preview. Improve my performance a little bit. Okay, so that's system dynamics. I guess while I was gone, the background faded in. So I originally wanted that background to be procedural in certain ways, in the sense that um, if you were winning, there would be more blue. If the computer is winning, there would be more red. Oh, you can actually see here, I set up a siphon source module and totally depleted the source. I'm winning by 3,000, but I'm slowly going to lose because I'm not doing anything to respond, and I'm rupturing at over 100 energy units per second, and I'm also being siphoned from 7 energy units per second, which isn't much. This computer is not really making big moves, but he's going to win because I'm not doing anything. And my over 200 energy units per second from the source aren't doing anything now. Anyway, moving on to Super Shit Mario. So that one's not too exciting in terms of movement. I don't know if I have. I'm not going to be able to really show you this well, I think. And I won't be able to show you all the versions of this game. So what was unique about this game, for starters, it's a complete recreation of the first level from Super Mario Bros. Lost Levels, or if you're more familiar with the original release, Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan. Um, what was particularly, see, it's really lagging bad because I have my live streaming software going on right now and a few other windows open, and it lags pretty bad anyway because this is an entire level of Mario, and every single block you see, yeah, this is really bad lag. Every single block you see is its own unique DOM object in an HTML document. So basically, everything you see, every single block, every single thing is, it has its own declarations on an HTML page. So we can't actually see it if we looked at the source because it's a little bit hidden behind some Adobe Edge code. But that's what's going on here. So it has to do a lot of work for kind of little results. And this is the program I'm used to using for game development. I know it's capable of better performance in this. I didn't optimize this engineering. I just needed it to be able to run at, 30 plus frames per second when nothing else was running on the computer. So what's going on is, um, again, this exhibition was over the course of 2 weeks. And on the first day, there was nothing falling from the sky. The clouds were normal clouds. The bushes weren't bleeding. Nothing had faces. Nothing was faded out. There were no coins, no enemies. And Mario was little Mario. Yeah, hitting that kills you. Mario was little Mario. Strange, I still had some jump. So you can see I can't jump very high. It's because I'm old Mario. So by the end of the 2-week exhibition, little Mario had started to run into coins, started to find Goombas, had grown into Big Mario. The hills developed faces, the clouds began to smile, and then static started shooting from the sky as little Mario became Big Mario, and then Big Mario became old Mario. And old Mario can't jump very high, so a lot of the coins he used to be able to get, he can't get anymore. And he kind of needs the help of Yoshi to get through the level at all, because there's certain gaps he wouldn't even be able to clear with his limited jump. So you collect Yoshi, and Yoshi's in a pretty cool mushroom. Yeah, that's lagging the shit. So from there, I don't really show this game. I started working on a pet project, and that's what it looked like. That's funny. I haven't seen this in a while. This is what my like real pet project looked like in the fall of 2012. Man, now it's still just an interface, but it looks like this. Yeah, it looks like this. I'm not really going to tell you much about this game, except that it's a 2-player PvP game that happens over the internet from browser to browser. And it's going to be a free-to-play game with collectible trading card Pokemon MOBA elements. So that's it for my little self intro there. Again, I got a film degree from Penn State. Pursued a master's there for a while in new media. I program with HTML5, JavaScript, and Node.js as a backend. So we can do, in theory, we could do a desktop game, but I've never tried making a desktop application with HTML5, so I'm probably not going to do that. In theory, we can also do mobile games, but for a game jam, you don't want to focus on trying to export it to a platform. You really just want to focus on making the game and getting it to work. So I'm going to build a game with HTML5, probably using primarily Adobe Edge, even though I've dabbled with some game development frameworks. I have a list of them. I saw the creator of one give a couple lectures, went to a conference about one. What was it called? Impact.js. Impact. Impact.js has gotten a bit of traction. But I'm not using that. Probably gonna use Adobe Edge. Kinda interested in seeing the theme for myself. What are we gonna do now? Is it posted on the Reddit? Um, Too much else to say about myself at the moment. Um, what kind of games have I? What type of games have I made? Mini game style, like stopping a timer or like a metronome or like doing a maze or moving a crane. Um, I've made top-down style perspectives, made side-scrolling perspectives. Um, more interface, sort of interface-driven games. Um, did a game jam at Penn State in 2012 and I think 2010 or 2011 also. Um, in there we made like a zombie shooter game. I didn't code. I think the theme was Zen, or no, it was Yin Yang. And I think the yin yang in our game was that you could change your color of bullets. It was based on like some sort of bullet hell game. I forget what the game's called, but it had different effect on the zombies in some way that affected how you won. But our programmer wasn't able to pull off the game, and he ended up having like too many zombies spawning and duplicate characters that you controlled on screen at once. I wasn't really sure why that happened. Um, so we need to start brainstorming for tonight. Um, it's already 11 o'clock here in Pennsylvania. Um, so we're starting when Hawaii started, which is 5 hours ahead or behind me. So it's 5 o'clock in Hawaii. It's 10 o'clock here. So what I think is going to happen is I think I'm going to brainstorm with you guys from now until late, maybe 2 or 3, and then early in the morning, I'm going to start fleshing out an engine for what we brainstormed. And while I do that, hopefully try and lobby Reddit and forums, the internet, and anyone who's watching this, kind of lobby you guys to try and find some people to help to contribute art assets and maybe some music assets, sound assets. So what I really want to do, even though I totally believe you guys, is find the theme for myself. So I posted to Twitter a second ago asking if anyone could tell me what the theme is or if it's still private. So I'm going to check Twitter now and see if we got any responses. Oh, no, I never sent the tweet. Go me. So pro. Remember wrapping up on the level, loving how it's turned out. People already finishing levels. Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah, it'd be cool to find like an artist who isn't terrible like me. Maybe I can open up Photoshop and whip something out. I normally use fireworks, and it's just not that powerful. So maybe if I use Photoshop. Um, how does this stuff have anything to do with that theme? What are we gonna do now? Weird choice of theme. An infinite number of hot dogs. Is it really what are we gonna do now? I just don't believe that. Hmm. What do we do now? Yeah, well, what do we do now? That's the theme. What do we do now? That's funny. Uh, oh no, I'm totally using it. I just I didn't believe that that was the theme. Um, so you know what I'm really curious about is if anyone has any ideas. I know, like what do we do with what do we do now? Like how do we deal with this? It was question. No, I was just looking it up. It's what do we do now? I just saw it on Twitter. Which, leaves me wondering, what exactly do we do now? And for that, we have this. So, do we do something like artsy and abstract? Do we do something that's one screen, a la like Zelda or like a Flash game? We do something that side scrolls. What do we do now? You know, obviously, it reminds me of myself. I was in graduate school, had my funding taken care of, and I decided to leave to pursue game development myself. And I was like, you know, I'm really not quite all there yet, but I can make money off of this. So what exactly do I do now? I haven't figured it out yet. Um, I'm not sure, but I've heard it from multiple individual sources. So I heard it from Twitter, and I heard it from people on here. I heard they were going to reveal it on their YouTube channel, but I haven't seen it yet. Um, so what do we do now? That's like, that's some, that's a good question. Trying to think, what can I do here? Maybe I'll pull up fireworks. Get my tablet out. This will be fun. I like the vagueness of the theme a lot. It's pretty cool. Um, well, I don't know if vague's the right word. There's just a lot you can do with it, right? Um, and I would personally like to spend a good amount of time brainstorming. Like in previous game jams I did, you'd sit with guys who would, they'd come up, well, actually, like they facilitate brainstorming. Actually, they make you rotate your seats. They make you make like come up with answers to silly questions and like a string of questions. Question. I don't know what I would like be more worried about, having question or what do we do now? You guys ever see The Graduate, the movie? I think Dustin Hoffman, like in the late 70s or something. Uh, the guy graduates college, goes back home. He's floating around in his parents' like in-ground pool every day, not really thinking about what he's gonna do. People start harassing him about like joining, a friend's family business or something. And long story short, he likes this one girl. She kind of rejects him, and so he starts having an affair with the girl's mom. And that's where the Simon and Garfunkel song "Mrs. Robinson" comes from. So I just, brought that up for some reason. The Graduate. So yeah, yeah. What do we do now? The end of the movie, he gets back with uh, the woman's daughter, and I'm not getting a response here. Can I do new? Create new. So at the very end of the movie, I think he interrupts a wedding, and he gets, maybe not, but he gets back with the woman's daughter, and they like escape in a car, and then they're like so happy, and then they kind of like look at each other and look out the back like rear view window, and they're like, no idea what they're gonna do next. And that's the end of the movie. And it's not kind of explicit; it's just kind of implicit. Um, so I keep bringing up college in reference to this theme. If anyone has any ideas, just pop them into Twitter chat any old time. Why can't I delete? Delete. Oh, I'm using the wrong keyboard. That's what I get for having two keyboards set up. It's probably unnecessary. It's okay, we'll work it out. Or will we? Where to put the keyboard? Move some things around here. There we go. And change the color of this to white. Make it 1920, 1080. Oh, looks like I got my tablet plugged into the wrong computer. Lots of problems now. So I could probably add the link to the Twitch, right? For where the Google Hangout is. It would help if I knew. Oh. Oh, there it is. So if I links that page. Okay, so if you go to this link, if you want to, you can join the Google Hangout chat. I'm pretty sure if that's not the case, let me know if you end up trying to do it. I will add it to the description below as well. And then I will try to focus more on the task at hand, which is brainstorming. And whew, some that's nice. Oh, yeah, my tablet's not pressure sensitive, unfortunately, but that's okay. really, I want this to be a collaborative thing. I don't want it to be a typical Twitch event where one person's doing something and everyone's watching. Because a game jam is traditionally a group of people working together. Um, and that's why I'm trying to incorporate stuff outside of Twitch. So I can set up a GitHub. I'm assuming not everyone knows how to work with that, so I'm assuming that's not the best option. But Google Hangouts, maybe eventually Skype, are good options that we can bring into this situation. So, all right. Um, so to recap, the theme is what do we do now? And it has to be a 2D game. Um, to the best of my knowledge, there are no restrictions on what kind of game you can make for the game jam. However, I personally cannot code 3D games. I don't have that expertise. So if I'm the principal coder on this project, and I don't have to be the principal coder on this project, but if I am the principal coder on this project, yes, it does have to be 2D. So I keep thinking of college. Maybe I should type stuff over here though, right? So post-college trauma or PCT. um, Someone brought up a book earlier. I think I might still have it in chat. Yeah. So, The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Oh, you know what? You know what I think I want to do? I heard this yesterday. The Road, Cormac McCarthy? Something like that. I heard of this book yesterday. I'm going to try and find it. That Jay-Z featured on a leather jacket that he wore in a promotional video for a tour he did with Beyonce. And according to the people doing the story, the tour was somehow symbolic of the fact that the music industry is dying. So, what was the book? It was like From the Dust of This Earth, or was it From the Dust of This Planet? From the Dust of This Planet. It was written by a professor at the New School in New York, I think. Yeah, and this book just like, I don't think anyone read it. So I heard of this story on Radio Lab, which is I think it's out of New York City. It's a radio segment that National Public Radio in the United States features. And this, the cover of this book got picked up by like a fashion person. So here, I'll bring it into our stream here. I assume you guys can see this. So the cover of this book got brought into a fashion designer like got their hands on this cover and turned it into a t-shirt and like a leather jacket, and then apparently like Jay-Z ends up wearing it in a video. From the Dust of this, right? Yeah, nice. And I heard this story with the guy who like wrote this book, and he had no idea that this happened, and he had it brought to his attention that like yeah, so yeah, the Radiolab thing, so that Jay-Z um, has this on his back on a leather coat, and he's like shooting this gun, and the whole book I guess is about like nihilism and pessimism in the face of nihilism. So maybe we can look around at the. I'm gonna add this to the stream. In the dust of this planet. Is that right? In the dust of this planet? Yeah. So I'm gonna save this image to my desktop, and I'm gonna add it to. It's gonna be our first stream logo. And I'm also gonna add it to our brainstorming page. After light. So, if you guys want to, if anyone feels compelled, because I really think I'm going to try and drive the game in the direction of this story. I have not read the book, but I'm going to read maybe the intro with you guys right now because I'm that sort of certain that this is the right move. So what happened is this guy, I think his name's Eugene, who wrote this book. He sort of takes the position that a lot of professors take, that he writes books that nobody reads, that aren't meant to be read. So it blew him away when he found out that a fashion designer had made clothes and that these clothes had made it onto the body of someone who was on a red carpet and then eventually onto a jacket that Jay-Z wore in a music video. And it was like just signifying this fact that in our generation, right, we have like this generation of people um, who like they're trying to the story sums it up so well, the Radiolab story, which you could check out. I think it's either a half hour or an hour long. um, kind of tries to grapple with just like we know more about what it means to be human than we've ever known in history. We don't have any clear threats in our life anymore. It's not the U.S. versus Russia versus Germany. There's no people committing like cleared like genocide. I guess maybe there are, but point is there's not like any clear enemies in the world, and um, terror in a sense is faceless anymore, and everything. So we know more about who we are, and this whole space of the internet just brought up this whole like self-awareness sort of thing, and um, it brought this new wave of nihilism into the world that's more intense or more profound than times in the past. And the guy who wrote this book, Eugene something, right? Let's bring in the image. The guy who wrote this book said he taught a class at the new school on like ancient mysticism or something. And he ends up talking about these groups of people, I think in Greece or Rome, near the end of some major empire in the history. And just waves of people started leaving um, this like super powerful empire. They just started leaving the uh, the security, the certainty of these walls, and just going out and kind of trying to be without body and just kind of like live in the world in some new way. And he tells stories of women, you know, like mutilating themselves, just to try and release themselves of their body and stuff. And I guess Students these days it really clicked with them. They really could understand this in some sense. So this generation of people is let's pull in. Oh, this is going slow. Desktop. In the dust of this planet. There's our theme, guys. Well, our theme within a theme. In the dust of this planet. So now what I'm going to do, should I put Jay-Z on here too? Just being a real badass. How's this other image look? USA Today. Yeah, we better add this one too, huh? No, there's no gun in that image. We want the gun. Let's get, oh, but what about this one? Whoops, so many Google images to consider. Well, no, that's kind of too behind the scenesy, right? Or should we just use this? We could just use this. Let's do that. Since he stole the IP of a cover of a book without giving credit, I think we can put this image on our stream. I think that's fair. I think that's how that works anyway. Adding another image. Open. Nice. Nice. So this will be like our sweet little logo. There we go. And any comments on this, anyone? Anyone like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to read some of Eugene Thatcher's book right now. Because sometimes when you're brainstorming and you're brainstorming alone, it's good to talk to a book. Because you got to talk to somebody. I believe that creativity flourishes. I'm going to add this to my bio. Oops. Oops. I believe I can fly. I believe creativity flourishes in group discourse. Cha-cha-cha. That's why the internet's so powerful. That's why I believe in Twitch Jams 2015. The internet's really powerful because it's like, so think about when you have like a country versus city, or rural versus urban. The city, the urban people, they have a slower pace to their lives. The rural people, the urban people, a faster pace to their lives. They come into contact with, probably a magnitude from 100 times to 1,000 times more people on a day. And there's more culture, there's more communication, and so information travels around a city a lot more efficiently and a lot more richly than in a rural area. with more richness and complexity than in rural areas due to high volumes of interaction. And so if you consider that, and then you consider the internet, in some ways the internet can never be, or at least currently can never be, it can never communicate in certain ways that face-to-face interaction can communicate. And I give well, there's an interesting dilemma.